The movie follows Bradley Suttons, a Grammy-winning country singer, and his fiancée, Hollywood actress Catherine Mann. Catherine, who discovered Bradley singing in a Nashville bar, modestly credits his talent for his success. Their glamorous lifestyle is showcased during a national TV interview. In Miltown, Texas, Sarah watches Bradley on TV and learns about his engagement to Catherine Mann. As an old friend, she's happy for him and remembers his childhood nickname, Brad Bird. James, the local bank president, visits Sarah about her overdue mortgage. He warns her that if she doesn't pay soon, he'll have to sell her ranch. Sarah asks for more time, saying she's waiting for a grant for her ranch. Despite already giving her 6 extra months, James agrees to 1 more month. While watching TV, James recognizes Bradley as someone from Miltown. Sarah says Bradley lived next door until he was 13. James recalls Bradley's parents died in a car accident and asks if Sarah knew him well. Sarah laughs and reveals she was once married to him. Later, Sarah finds a ring among old keepsakes and reminisces about Bradley's parents' funeral. In a flashback, 13-year-old Bradley, distraught about moving away, is comforted by Sarah. To console him, she suggests they marry in her family's barn, with their friend Adam officiating a sweet, innocent ceremony. In the present, Sarah smiles at the ring and starts writing a nostalgic letter to Brad Bird, reflecting on their past and deep connection. In Los Angeles, Catherine's publicist wants a big wedding with media and stars, but Bradley prefers a small, private one. Catherine agrees. Despite Bradley's reluctance, the publicist insists on publicizing the wedding because of fan mail for Bradley. Catherine finds a ring in the mail and a letter for Brad Bird, which triggers Bradley's memories of his childhood friend Sarah and his parents' home in Miltown. Bradley suggests they visit the old house together, but Catherine can't join due to her busy schedule. She suggests he sell the house first, promising to visit after the wedding. Catherine's publicist is disappointed about the modest wedding plans, but Catherine hints at having her own plan to balance their public image and Bradley's wishes. Bradley finally arrives in Miltown and heads straight to the bank to discuss selling his house with James. In the cab, Bradley realizes the driver, Sam Hartford, is an old schoolmate who knows where he lives. Turns out, everyone in Miltown knows Bradley, even to the point where they have a sandwich named after him at the diner. Feeling nostalgic, Bradley returns home and reminisces while dusting off old memories. He decides to visit his neighbors and meets Sarah, who is surprised to see him in town. They share some laughs and catch up as they walk to the stables. Sarah mentions she's been tending to Bradley's mother's flower garden all these years and runs a horse rescue shelter. Bradley wonders why Sarah stayed in Miltown and learns about her passion for animals. He asks about her personal life, but Sarah never married or had kids. Bradley jokes about marrying her when they were young. Sarah expresses her desire to meet Catherine, but Bradley says he's alone on this trip. Outside Bradley's house, a crowd gathers, so Sarah helps him escape to her barn. They ride off on her horses to avoid the cameras and reminisce at their childhood fort. They plan to meet for lunch the next day to catch up. Later, Bradley sings on his porch, and Sarah joins in from afar. The next day, they meet Adam, the pastor, and go fishing, which brings back childhood memories for Bradley. Back home, Sarah asks about Catherine, and Bradley praises her. Sarah admits there used to be someone for her but not anymore. She checks her mailbox for a letter but doesn't find it. Bradley thanks Sarah and says he might leave soon after finishing his work. They hug goodbye, and Sarah wishes him the best with Catherine. Later that night, Bradley is immersed in his songwriting, feeling the pressure to perfect his latest piece. Meanwhile, Sarah goes about her usual daily routines but often catches herself glancing towards Bradley's house, her thoughts lingering on him. That night, Bradley sleeps with his old teddy bear. Sarah, on the other hand, is weighed down by the stress of unpaid bills and the lack of financial resources. The next day, people come to see Bradley's house, making him rethink selling it and wanting to stay longer in Miltown. He tells Sarah, who is happy he's staying. While she's out delivering, she asks Bradley to go fishing with her the next day, and he happily agrees. While they fish, Bradley tells Sarah about his travels. Meanwhile, Catherine is busy trying on wedding dresses, missing Bradley and looking forward to their future together. Bradley, though, imagines a simple wedding in his hometown, which is very different from Catherine's elaborate ideas. Feeling nostalgic, Bradley visits the barn where he and Sarah had once exchanged childhood vows. Overcome by memories, he suggests to Sarah that they should hold his wedding to Catherine there, believing that Catherine might appreciate a modest affair away from the media frenzy. Sarah is taken aback by the suggestion but agrees to help plan the wedding in exchange for Bradley's help in fixing her fence. Catherine remains determined to have an extravagant wedding, despite Bradley's desire for simplicity. Sarah suggests giving Bradley work clothes to protect his expensive attire, but he refuses. As a result, his clothes get ruined, and he feels sore from the hard work. However, Bradley perseveres and finds his father's old work clothes. With Sarah's help, he repairs the fence. Afterward, as Sarah takes care of Bradley's injured hand, they share a heartfelt moment, strengthening their connection and reigniting old feelings. The next day, Sarah and Bradley go to the diner. Sarah orders 2 sandwiches named after Bradley for fun. The waitress doesn't recognize Bradley, which makes them laugh. While eating, Bradley asks Sarah to handle the wedding flowers. When Sarah asks about Catherine's favorite flower, Bradley realizes he doesn't know, which surprises Sarah. Next, they go to the local cake shop. Bradley is again at a loss, unable to recall Catherine's favorite flavor or color. Sarah is taken aback by his lack of knowledge about his fiancée. Monica, the shop owner and a fan of Bradley, steps in to remind him that Catherine is allergic to coconut, a detail Bradley was unaware of. Meanwhile, it turns out Catherine has already made the decision about their wedding cake. Sarah faces more challenges when she can't secure a grant for her ranch, making her worry about the future. As they work together, Bradley asks if Sarah enjoys living alone. She says her animals keep her company, but Bradley is curious about having a human partner. Sarah shares her dream of finding true love like her parents and insists she won't settle for less. Bradley doubts it's easy to find someone who shares interests and is committed. Sarah wants unconditional love. Bradley respects Sarah's views, even if he finds it unrealistic. He thinks Sarah deserves to be happy. Bradley and Sarah have a blast cleaning the barn, turning it into a playful water fight and games, laughing all the while. Later, they go to the woods for a bonfire by the creek. They lie down together, looking at the stars, and have a deep conversation. Sarah compliments Bradley's songwriting, saying his recent songs remind her of his earlier soulful ones. Bradley is surprised, saying people usually just tell him what he wants to hear. Sarah promises to always be truthful with him. The next day, Sarah learns that Bradley has never talked about having kids with Catherine, despite planning their wedding. She's surprised by this. Later, they have ice cream and go to a store to get Bradley's wedding tux. When he tries it on, something feels off until Sarah suggests adding a cowboy hat, which he likes. A saleswoman thinks Sarah is the bride and urges her to try on a wedding dress. Sarah agrees and comes out looking beautiful, catching Bradley's attention. At church, Bradley's presence causes a stir, distracting everyone from Pastor Adam's sermon. Sarah invites everyone to Bradley's wedding to shift the focus back. Bradley is surprised by the sudden invitation, but Sarah reminds him that these people knew him before he was famous and genuinely care about him. After church, they go fishing with Adam, who notices that being home seems to be good for Bradley. Bradley agrees, feeling content. Adam looks forward to meeting Catherine and remarks on Bradley's deep love for her. Bradley agrees, while Sarah hides her feelings. When Bradley catches a big fish, he lifts Sarah in celebration, and Adam senses something special between them. While working on the ranch, Sarah praises Bradley's quick learning. He credits it to his cowboy genes and feels connected to his roots. Bradley tells Sarah that being with her feels like home and thanks her for helping him reconnect with himself. Touched, Sarah changes the subject, inviting Bradley to check out a band for his wedding. Bradley and Sarah go to town to see a band. They meet Adam at the bar, and when the romantic music starts, Bradley asks Sarah to dance. They have a good time and Bradley shows off his dancing skills. Adam notices the strong connection between them. As they dance, Bradley kisses Sarah. The song ends, leaving them in an awkward moment, but before they can talk about it, Bradley has to perform on stage. As Bradley sings, Sarah feels a deep sadness and a heavy heart. Adam expresses concern for her, worried she'll get hurt, but it's clear Sarah has already fallen for Bradley. Overwhelmed, she leaves the bar and heads home. The next morning, Bradley hopes for Sarah but finds James at the door instead, with good news. There's a good offer for Bradley's house. However, Bradley decides to stay, wanting to remain connected to his roots. James also mentions Sarah's financial struggles with her ranch, explaining she often doesn't get paid for caring for others' old horses. Bradley sets out to find Sarah and goes to her garden. Sarah tries to brush off her sudden departure the night before and suggests he takes a break from working on the fence, clearly wanting to avoid him. Aware of her financial problems, Bradley offers to pay her for looking after his mother's garden. Sarah refuses the money, saying she's got her funding, though Bradley is skeptical. Reluctantly, he respects her wish to end the conversation. Back in Los Angeles, Catherine learns from the newspapers about Bradley spending time with his childhood friend Sarah. Concerned, her publicist urges Catherine to head to Texas immediately. Meanwhile, Sarah immerses herself in work to stay busy, which Bradley notices. He confronts her, but she brushes off his concern and gets ready to leave for a delivery. Bradley then informs her that he's decided to keep his house, catching her attention. When Sarah asks why, Bradley says he realized it's his home thanks to her influence. Disappointed, Sarah starts to walk away, but Bradley stops her, asking what's wrong. Overwhelmed, Sarah blurts out her true feelings. She believes Bradley is marrying a woman he barely knows. She points out that he doesn't know Catherine's favorite color, flowers, or if she wants a family. On the verge of tears, Sarah tells Bradley he can't marry Catherine because he doesn't truly love her. Bradley, still in denial, apologizes for the kiss, saying he got caught up in the moment, which breaks Sarah's heart even more. She tells Bradley that she understands his fear of loving again after losing his parents but insists people should marry for love, not convenience. As days pass, Bradley reflects on his life and decides to talk to Catherine. He leaves her a message, and to his surprise, she shows up at his doorstep. She is shocked to learn that Bradley has decided to keep his house. Bradley explains he wants to keep it as a home base for when they have kids. Catherine is taken aback, especially when she realizes there are no fancy restaurants in town, only a diner. Bradley suggests they celebrate, but Catherine is apprehensive. He reassures her and suggests they go hiking and fishing. Wanting to make things work, Catherine agrees, hoping everything will be perfect as long as they're together. The next day, Bradley takes her to the creek, where they talk about Sarah. Bradley praises Sarah and mentions her struggles with the ranch. During their outing, Catherine gets a call and reveals she has already made extensive wedding arrangements. Despite Bradley's assurances that everything is taken care of locally, Catherine insists on ensuring perfection. Meanwhile, Sarah finally receives the letter she has been waiting for, but it's not good news. The next day, Catherine visits Sarah at her ranch. Sarah is happy but surprised when Catherine suggests Bradley will forget about Miltown once he's back on tour. Catherine offers to help by connecting Sarah with a friend in California who takes in retired animals. Sarah feels pressured but grateful and agrees. Catherine gives her a flight ticket to California, meaning she'll miss the wedding, but Sarah is relieved to secure a future for her horses. Before leaving, Sarah learns that Catherine's favorite flowers are yellow roses. Bradley meets Adam at their childhood hangout spot, seeking advice about love. Adam asks if Bradley truly loves Catherine. Though Bradley says yes, his uncertainty is evident. Adam remains skeptical. Sarah prepares yellow rose bouquets for Bradley's wedding. At the rehearsal, Bradley's focus is on Sarah, who walks out in tears, preparing to leave town. The next day, she hands over her home to the bank and departs for California. When Bradley tries to find Sarah, he discovers from the real estate agent that Sarah no longer lives there and that the bank had to sell her ranch. To his astonishment, he learns that he has unknowingly bought the ranch himself. Bradley confronts Catherine, who reveals she bought the ranch to expand their property and build a new house. Bradley is further annoyed when a cameraman arrives to photograph their wedding for People magazine, which Catherine had arranged against Bradley's wishes for a private ceremony. Catherine praises the floral arrangement, noting how Bradley knew yellow roses were her favorite. Realizing it was Sarah's doing, Bradley decides he cannot marry Catherine. He tells her he plans to stay in Miltown, perform locally, and write songs. Catherine disagrees, but Bradley is resolute. He tells her he cares for her, but it's not enough, and walks out, leaving a heartbroken Catherine behind. When Sarah returns home to pack up her belongings, she is greeted by her dogs, who lead her to the barn. As she opens the door, she is surprised to find the townspeople gathered inside. Bradley steps forward, and Sarah, confused, asks about Catherine. Bradley suggests they renew their wedding vows, explaining that while their childhood marriage seemed unrealistic, he now knows he doesn't want to settle for less. Sarah smiles, holding back tears. Bradley lists all of Sarah's favorite things, showing he knows her deeply. He declares his love and commitment to support each other through life. In tears, Sarah watches as Bradley proposes with his mother's ring. She says yes, and they celebrate with loved ones. Pastor Adam officiates their beautiful ceremony as Sarah and Bradley promise a lifetime of happiness and love. A Country Wedding is a charming Hallmark movie that blends romance with heartfelt nostalgia. The movie is filled with sweet, heartfelt moments, beautiful country scenery, and a reminder of the importance of true love and following one's heart. It's a delightful watch for fans of romantic dramas. More exciting movies to come. So please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and click the thumbs like icon. Thanks for watching.